What qualities do you think it takes to be a good CIO?
First and foremost, broad shoulders to deal with the plethora of challenges, not only from a business perspective, but the challenge from internal or external stakeholders. So I think it's extremely important for any individual or any CIO to actually remain close to what they want to deliver and not to be influenced by others, especially if they feel strongly about the values which they are being questioned about. I think that's the first absolute thing to be strong with. Secondly, I would say that it's very important to deliver the role of what CIO is there to do that's commensurate with the business or the industry that you are in. And what I mean by that is that as CIOs, we can apply our skills in different ways for different people and in different people in different industries. So therefore, what the security sector may want to focus on may be very, very different to, say, a more operational sector. So the benefits and the focuses can shift. So therefore, I am not a believer that there's a one-size-fits-all CIO, and I think that's extremely important.
And what's been your biggest challenge so far?
It's a good question. It's been an effective CIO. I don't think any CIO can learn their trade by simply reading a book or by taking the role which they were doing prior to being a CIO. So most CIOs have had a route to market, so to speak, so whether that be through managerial, whether it be through technical, or whether it be through academic. So I think it's extremely important, really, to remain true to what you want to deliver, and making sure that you deliver in a way that you are happy with, and not being sort of influenced by others.
What do you consider to be your biggest achievement?
Making a success of in the role of a CIO at Hargreaves Lansdown. So it's a position that was new to the board before I joined, and I didn't join into the role. It was a role that I was promoted into. So a success really for me is to be able not only to get there, but to be making a success of the role whilst in the position. At least I think it's a success, and I think I'm still in the role, so I must be doing something right. But I genuinely feel that achieving what I've achieved, not only from a personal perspective, but the team around me. So it's not just about being a CIO, it's about the team that are around you, both that I've brought in as a management team, as my peers on the board, but they have got to be, I think, signed up to the journey of which I'm setting out, and that's certainly something that seems to be the case, that they do believe in the route that we're taking, and the team are going with me in a certain respect. And also, I think it's a case of accepting challenge from that team. So we have an extremely strong management team and an engineering development testing team within IT. And I'm always happy to accept challenge from them as well. So it's not just about leading from the front. I think whilst that is important, I think it's also very important to take the challenge back, because there are some extremely talented people, like I say, not only within Hargreaves Lansdown, but across the industry. And we as CIOs can never know everything. So understanding and accepting our challenge back is extremely important.
And what's the most useful piece of careers advice you've ever received?
Don't get bitter, get better. Because especially as a CIO or as an IT manager, we very regularly come under criticism, come under challenge. So therefore, we're not always right. And sometimes that we have to learn from the lessons that we go through. Unfortunately, some of those lessons have more impact than other industries or other business units, because the majority of the times, IT is a touch point across the business. So I think it's extremely important to be able to, if there is something to be learned from, then we do get better. But we as human beings, I think, can sometimes take criticism hard. But certainly, it is something that someone said to me once, and it's stuck with me for a long time, because being able to take criticism and challenge, I think, is extremely important if we can learn from it.
And what careers advice would you pass on to others?
Be accountable for what you're doing, and don't be afraid to make mistakes if you can learn from them. I think so many times within IT, if you sort of if you don't restrict people, you take the cuffs off, so to speak, and you let them be inspirational and almost entrepreneur in a fashion, it can be extremely effective, not only for IT as a department, but for within the business they're in. So therefore, yeah, being able to have confidence in oneself and being committed to pushing themselves. But I think that is constrained in a way if they're afraid to make a mistake, and they're almost held back in a way.
And how is the role of a CIO changing?
It's changing because the public around us, the businesses that we're in, the peers that we have, the staff that we have are becoming more IT literate every day. So therefore, whereas in the past it was very easy, in inverted commas, but it's not saying the role of a CIO is ever easy, but it's easier in a way because there was that inherent level of trust because it was an unknown. So now people can come to us with solutions rather than questions, and I think it's extremely important for us to remain steadfast to what we want to deliver, and make sure that that's akin to what either the business or the IT strategy. So for business leaders now coming to an IT department with, okay, why can't we do X or why can't we do Y? I think that was maybe how it was, but in the present day and how it will go moving forward is a case of, well, I've seen this in an IT magazine, or I've seen this advertised on a website. We should be using that technology. And of course it's a case of going back to the original point of having broad shoulders, and if we said yes, I think as CIOs to everything that was put forward to us, we would almost be in a vortex of mess, because ultimately as a CIOs and IT departments invariably have to support and maintain and manage those products. So if we were to say yes to every request or every iPad app or new technology that was coming onto the market, then I think it's a scenario that has got a messy ending in a way.
What's the best route into the CIO role today?
Personally speaking, I feel it is through experience. I'd like to see people in CIOs who are battle scarred in a way, because it's extremely important that as leaders that we've learned either from mistakes that we've made or that we've seen made by other people. So certainly the number of CIOs that I come across, it's quite nice in a way that you know what their background is, or that they can come to the table with experience, and I think that is extremely important. The problem with that in a way is that CIOs traditionally are either weighted on one skill or another, and I think that is always going to be the case. Unless the route to being a CIO or an IT director has been something like a CTO who's got a more wider breadth, then even as a CIO, I think it's very important for people to understand that it's still a learning process. And finally, it's a challenge and in a way to CIOs of today, whereby not all of the applications or systems or landscape that they're managing are in their scope. So as CIO, sometimes we're actually asked to manage more legal contracts, which, okay, so something needs to be up 99.9% because the contract says so. And I think sometimes that can be a dead end in a way, because for people to be focused on just on a contract or on a percentage of a contract within it, it's hard then for the business then to put some value on that. So whereas before traditional CIOs or IT directors would have been in complete control, whereas now, as they move to cloud or to mobile or to technologies which are ultimately off the shelf but provided through the cloud, it's, I think, extremely important for CIOs again to remain steadfast to what they want to be delivering in the business in which they're in.
Is a technical background necessary?
An understanding of technical is it's important, but going back to what I was saying is that if you can bring to the table a level of technical understanding, I would say absolutely is important, because if you haven't got that element of challenge in you, even at a high level, I think sometimes CIOs can be ineffective, especially if the challenge is made around the board table or the challenge is made at a point in time that decisions need to be made. Then you have to ask the question, is a CIO being effective if they then need to go away and have meetings or sessions or dialogues at people at a detailed level in order to gain an element of understanding? So I would say technical understanding is absolutely crucial, but it doesn't have to be completely in depth, but we do need to keep up to date with what the technology is doing and how it is being used within the business that we're in, and for new products, what the potential advantages are. Because as IT leaders, we can't just say yes because it sounds like a new fad or a new idea. We need to be able to quantify what the technical or the business benefit is from following that road.
What's your next big goal professionally?
To continue to evolve, both personally as a CIO and within Hargreaves Lansdown, and how we can make IT and the technology more beneficial to both our client base and to our staff, but also to help us as a company within the industry that we're in make the most out of technology. It's not a static pond. Technology is more like a fast flowing stream, if you will. So therefore, we can't stand still, and certainly for me, the next goal is to make sure that we're understanding where we're going, how we're getting there, and how technology, especially around the spectrum of IT, will help us get there.